Good Monday morning to you, Heritage Soul family.
Good morning.
It is Connecting Sunday to Monday. This is the application part of the sermon, and this is where the real rubber meets the road. It's very easy to listen to some preacher talk about something on Sunday and it be curious and kind of interesting, maybe even inspirational, but none of that really matters unless we somehow get traction in our real life with those sermons. And that means practical application. Many times I've come home from a sermon on cloud nine, believing that I just delivered this awesome, amazing, unbelievable sermon. And I'd come home and I'd talk to LaDon and she'd go, yeah, but how do you do that really? But how does that really work in your life? And I'd say, but it was an amazing theory. It was incredible theology. And she'd say, yeah, but you didn't really tell anybody how to do that. So that's always been very frustrating to me. And I want to be a pastor who's able to make practical application. For instance, this last Sunday was a very odd, very difficult, stressful sermon for me, because I know I just couldn't win in any direction. It's so tense right now racially. It's so fragile, if you will. But yesterday I had some really interesting text messages after the sermon. One of them was from an Italian lady named Donna Holman, and she sent me a text and said, Pastor Steve, you know, I took you at your word. So yesterday when I was in the grocery store and I was walking back to my car, I happened to make a little bit of small talk with this black couple that was right there in the parking lot. And I decided just to go ahead and do what you said. And I asked them, hey, how are you doing with all this racial tension stuff going on? And then I just let them talk. And it was amazing. We had this beautiful conversation. They were precious and inviting and engaging. And then I had the opportunity to ask them what I could do. And they just basically said, what you're doing right now. Just even asking the question, wondering, being interested is such an amazing thing. So that was one person who actually got traction with the sermon. Another person texted me and said, hey, my family is a totally biracial family. My mother's from India. My father's from Czechoslovakia. I came as a complete illegal alien, for a long time and lived that way. And I know what it's like to be a minority, and I consider myself white. But I never believed in white privilege and that the majority has those privileges. But now I'm rethinking everything and I'm starting to make those connections. And so how are you going to take what we talked about on Sunday, and particularly last Wednesday? Don't miss that. If you missed that Bible study from last Wednesday, you will not have the biblical foundation to talk about this subject. So last Wednesday, June 10th, incredibly important Bible study, sermon on Sunday, that links those two together, and then now connecting Sunday to Monday. Well, Don, what are you thinking as far as, you're the one who's always saying, yeah, how do you do that? So what are you thinking you're going to do?
Well, I appreciated what you said and the directions that you gave us, because it is definitely a sensitive subject. And up until this point, I have never wanted to talk about it because I was afraid that I would not do it justice. Mm-hmm. And I was afraid that I would say something insensitive. And there's nothing, I don't ever want to offend, especially my good friends, in the church and everything. But I did have questions. And so, yeah, I think that's the first step. The first step is asking.
That's what we talked about on Sunday. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm encouraging you, Heritage Community Church, to do this week, to activate the sermon on Sunday, connecting it to Monday and every other day this week. Ask that question. Hey, go to one of your black friends, one of your black relatives or couples or whatever, and co-worker, exactly. Go to them, neighbor, and say, hey, how are you doing with all this racial tension stuff?
Knowledge is power. You can't really help. You can't really do anything until you have information. And until you hear them, how can you help? How can you help the situation?
Here's the principle. In the absence of information, everyone, anybody, red, yellow, black, and white, everyone connects the dots in the most pathological ways.
Mhm.
So as long as we sit back in our own little cave of self-understanding and we never venture out to ask questions and be curious, and this goes for minorities as well. This is a two-way street here. This is minorities. This is a black person coming to a white person and saying, hey, how are you doing with all this racial tension that's going on right now? Because that opens a dialogue and dots start getting connected because information is provided. So the second thing, what LaDonna was just saying, that she seems to want to do is to help. So after you ask the question, hey, how are you doing with all this racial tension stuff going on? Then follow that up after you give space. Follow that up with, how can I help change your world? Not the world, but your world.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, my little world is very limited. I'm not hiring anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, doing anything like that. So the world that I'm in, I want to champion it and make it different and be a part of the resolution rather than the problem.
Yeah,
So,
that's fantastic. How to be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. The problem right now,
solution.
what did I say?
I said resolution, I meant solution.
Oh, I thought you were correct.
No, I was correcting myself.
It's all right. Such a natural thing in our relationship. So anyway. So what we want to be a part of the solution,
Yes.
not a part of the problem. Being a part of the problem is not asking, not
Right.
talking, not dialoguing, staying in your own little world, just saying, hey, Fox News, hey, CNN, tell me what I think. Living in that little bubble, letting the media tell you what you think is a bad idea. Going to other people, having real conversations with real people whom you love and care about in your soul family. This is how we get it started. So minorities asking majorities, majorities asking minorities. That is critical.
And it has to start in the church
I
because
love
we
that.
want to be an example to the world. We don't want them to look at us and say, well, if that's how it is, it's no different anywhere else.
Yeah.
And so we definitely want to be different at our church with our soul family.
Yeah.
So
ask yourself this question. I've been pondering it so much. Ask yourself this question. What color is a soul? What color is your soul? Is God thinking in red, yellow, black, and white terms as far as the soul is concerned? Does God have majorities and minorities in his world as far as colors and of the soul? Or that really levels. And that gets back to that June 10th Facebook Live Bible study. We've got to understand what it means in the kingdom of God to be united, because only united will we stand.
Amen.
I love you, soul family.
I love you too.
Please have a great week. And don't forget, engage the conversation. It's the only way we can break loose and move forward. God bless you.
God bless you all.